Right, hey guys, how we doing? Back another video from Seth the Programmer. So last week we checked out how strong is the new Super Saiyan 4 form from Daima, but that was when Goku was a child. So this is now covering how strong is Super Saiyan 4 in Daima in adult form. Let's find out.
Hello everyone, it is a rare collab between Seth and Taurus.
Yo,
Taurus.
And yeah, this is a rarity. But Taurus and I were sort of on the same page with a lot of stuff in Daima. And I'm not gonna lie, people are cock riding to both of us a lot about a lot of stupid stuff. And it seems like there's a lot of Daima onlys in the community these days.
Oh, that is interesting. That's really interesting.
I don't know if they're Daima onlys or it's quite strange. So if you guys look at say
really
one
weird.
of my recent live streams, they'll be saying stuff like, "I think this Goku is like surpassing like Super Saiyan God tier."
Ooh, what? No. Oh god, okay.
Seth, why are you ignoring Goku shaking like the three demon realms or planets?
He shook a whole bloody universe. Okay.
Well, I don't know. This might be up there with Super Saiyan Blue. I think that this easily is like GT level Super Saiyan 4. And it really flabbergasted me to read that type of stuff. Genuinely. Genuinely. And a lot of people keep saying, you know, oh, your videos are aging like milk. I actually think they aged quite well. Super Saiyan 4 adult Goku, obviously way more powerful than the kid version. In fact, I ran a poll on my videos. It looks like base Vegeta did better than Super Saiyan 4 Kid Goku, right, as an example. And he's fatigued as an adult, so fatigued adult base Vegeta does better than full power Super Saiyan 4 Kid Goku.
Huh.
Right, that's basically how it kind of goes. And then so on and so forth. Now, to get into, you know, Daima versus Super and GT, we'll go over that kind of near the end. But it does seem like there are a lot of people that they're kind of just aura gauging the form. They're like, well, it looks really well animated. It looks pretty tough. You know, he shook the planets and stuff. I'm like, bro, they're shaking planets like that in Bleach, you know, or in Naruto they're doing that. You know, it's like this is not really impressive by Dragon Ball standards, and it seems like a lot of Daima viewers don't understand that quite too well. But that being said, as an introduction of what we'll be getting into, last time we talked about how Dabura pre-Majin was probably the strongest in the demon realm. So a lot of people don't know this, but the Dabura that would have been inferior to a Tamagami would have been pre-Majin Dabura. And Taurus here is really the main progenitor of the Dabura supremacy argument. Obviously, he's not stronger than like the adult Daima characters or King Goma, because let's be real, base Goku should probably be able to take him out, although
Yeah.
we'll get into that too, about why Daima might be surprisingly weaker than what we may remember about the Buu saga, and there's a lot to say. So Taurus, I'll let you explain some of that Dabura argument in your own words, and then we'll kind of get
cool
into
fight
a
to
lot
watch,
of
like, to be fair.
maybe how Daima might be a lot weaker than we actually thought, based on some interviews we read, but...
yeah, sure. So pretty much it's dealing or addressing just lore about the demon realm, right? Daima is meant to be about the demon realm in general, and it's adding lore. That's the point. It's meant to add lore, not change it. So in Dragon Ball Daima, there's a very famous statement where Pansy essentially says that the Tamagami, she has heard that the Tamagami have beaten Dabura. Now, what we know, and what most other people should have spotted at the beginning of Daima, is that Goma was surprised that Dabura was under Bibidi's control, right? And Goma's the vice demon king of the demon realm, right? So if anyone was to know, it would be him, or possibly Ariansu as well, because she seems to be on the Gecko. But
that's a good point.
Loads of other people wouldn't know that. Like, most people didn't even know how strong Majin Buu was, because when Goma saw Dabura get one shot by Buu, he just goes, holy.
Yeah, he's like, what the
He beat Dabura in one. He just one shot him in one. He just ate him easily. And it's like, the top tiers of the verse, or the how you say, the political top tiers of the verse, they don't seem to have this level of knowledge that we do as the audience. So the other people in the lower demon realm, like Pansy, right? she's in the third demon world, and according to what we know, people in the third demon world don't get to move anywhere but the third demon world.
Yeah, they're stuck
So her knowledge, right, should just be of King Deborah, the one that ruled over them for like 75 million years, which, I'll get into his age a bit later. But
That's crazy, by the way. Yeah, Deborah's really ancient.
Is he that old? Jesus freaking Christ. Wow, didn't know that. Did not know that.
Apparently.
Yeah.
So,
when I finish this little point about Pansy's statement, well, Pansy must refer to the Deborah that she knows of. And the Deborah that she knows of is pre-Majin Deborah. Now, the interesting thing about Majin Deborah is that he has a lot of statements regarding his strength about being the strongest of the demon. The easiest one to just point out that most people know of is when Shin is like, well, when he sees Deborah, he's like, well, one of you guys may be the strongest in this world, but Deborah is the top man over there in the demon realm. Right? That's like the first statement that we get about him, that he's the strongest in the demon realm. And there are multiple sources to back this up. Right? Multiple sources. Dragon Ball Kai, El Manga Legendario, Daizenshu, loads and loads of information to back them up. Right? And you can just apply that to Majin Deborah, right? And
the whole franchise just supports Deborah being the strongest.
Yeah, there's almost no contrary information to Majin Deborah being weaker than Tamagami, just King Deborah, right? And the reason why that's possibly bad in some ways is that Deborah with his Majin lamp is possibly, and I'm not going to get too much into it, he's possibly stronger or weaker than Cell. Okay, most guides say they're equal. But there's arguments for above or below. If you think he's
most people say they're on equal level, like he is as strong as Perfect Cell.
Weaker than Cell, then it's even worse. It makes the scaling a whole lot worse. If you think he's stronger, then there's some sort of ground that we can cover in the middle. But most people just go with he's equal to Cell, which means everyone in the demon realm is weaker than Cell.
Yeah, because he's the strongest.
Again, that can get even worse when you consider the Kaioshin's knowledge about the demon realm. Okay, a lot of people didn't spot this. So, when they're on planet Mega, which is that gigantic planet with, that weird Winnie the Pooh looking guy in diapers, and who basically just beat up Super Saiyan Goku with a ruler. Shin knows of this species. He knows that they're the second most fearsome species in all the demon world. They're a group of giants, and they're like fairly peaceful people. Okay, he knows all about them. If he knows the second most fearsome, it's most likely he knows the first fearsome ones as well, like the Gigats, who are even stronger than Megats. Right? And the reason why that's bad is because Goku and Vegeta were really scared of this Kraken squid thing that they arrived on Demon Namek. I'm just going to call it Demon Namek for sake of this. To the point where they literally do not want to mess with it. When Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta was fighting the Tamagami 2, at some point he turns Super Saiyan 2 and does like a ki blast in the Kraken's mouth, and all it does is yawn, just felt sleepy, and just went to bed.
Yes, not damaged.
That's all that happened. And they were scared to fight it in the first place. Right? Megats hunt these squids for food. These weird gigantic Krakens that Goku and Vegeta are too scared to fight. Megats hunt and eat them. Right? And the Gigats is even stronger than that. So when Kaioshin says Deborah is the strongest in the demon realm, it creates this chain that Deborah is stronger than Gigats, who are stronger than Megats, who eat Krakens for breakfast, literally, and who are stronger than Goku and Vegeta, right? And they both have access to Super Saiyan. Even Neva, when he got to Planet Mega, he's like, we need to get the out of here. We will die soon if we stay here. Like, if we fall in the water, that Kraken will eat us for his breakfast. So, that's mainly the Deborah stance.
And, I think it makes sense because if we go by anime standards, Goma was crapping himself watching Majin Vegeta versus Goku. And in the anime, that's multiple tiers of amplifications. We'll get into the anime versus manga later because it's actually going to be important. But Goku and Vegeta in base form, in Daima, being incredibly weak is actually very consistent, or at least as kids, it's very consistent, and it explains a lot of things within the story. It explains how Deborah could be the strongest. It could explain why the Demon Realm is more confident in fighting them. It could explain why these Krakens should be weaker than Deborah, give them a hard time, or why these random Demon Realm soldiers are making them even have like a tournament of power, like stamina conservation strategy moment, like all this stuff. It all makes so much more sense if these characters are incredibly nerfed. Now, in the past we thought, oh, maybe they're just, their balance is off. Maybe there's not enough proof or whatever, or maybe, they're just that much weaker because of the Deborah stuff. But then we see the adult forms come out, and I ran a poll on my stream, and everyone agreed base Vegeta outperforms a Super Saiyan 4 Kid Goku in base, heavily fatigued against King Goma. And that really illustrates how OP they are at full power as adults, and how nerfed they are as kids. And it wouldn't be inconsistent really at all if they were that weak as kids. And in fact, it would explain a lot of things about the story, in my personal opinion here. And I think that sort of leads up into the adult forms and a lot of people kind of like coping about it. And this leads us into a separate debate about King Goma, say, versus Majin Buu. But I'm curious if you have anything to wrap up about the previous points, or if you just want to get into Majin Buu now.
Just a small thing to add about the whole weakened thing. There are plenty of characters like Shin, Neva, Ariansu who are like, damn, they're this powerful as children. And the whole idea of them being wished into children is for them to be nerfed in the first place. Right? That's the whole idea. Yeah. And just think about it logically, right? Like their adult cells probably like 60 kg mass and whatever the fuck, when they amp that state with ki, right? Obviously the 60 kg body amped is gonna be stronger than like the 5 kg body they have right now. It's just common sense.
Your fully mature body.
It makes sense. This form is stronger than this form. Adult, child, stronger. Yes. Fucking hell was that? Okay. Anyway.
Has like all of its muscle mass, like all of its length, like literally its organ size is literally larger and more efficient. Your brain size is larger. Like, I'd argue even your brain being bigger would give you an advantage in Dragon Ball, just because of the fact you could use your mental faculties to exhibit ki would be better.
Goma versus Majin Buu. Oh, okay.
This is when we get into part 2, right? So the kids, they're kind of mid, right? And so that's why it was kind of hard to debate. Could Goma really beat Majin Buu because he, like, beat up the kids? Like, because the kids, maybe Taurus and I, maybe we're debate gooning, right? Maybe we're just talking about some retcon Deborah concept. I don't think so. But, maybe we're just kind of talking. Maybe they didn't think about that, right? But really, there was nothing going on for Goma for beating up these kids because they're not really quantifiable. There was a statement that Goma was the strongest enemy, but then the context of the statement seems to just be talking about in Dragon Ball Daima. Like, clearly he's not the strongest in Dragon Ball history. Clearly he's not stronger than Jiren or Beerus or Zamasu or Moro, right? He's just talking about what we know of up to that point. Now, it could be talking about Majin Buu, but in context, it really did seem like the adventure thus far, which was Dragon Ball Daima. Now, you could say that Goma was stronger than Buu at that point because of that statement, but it's sort of a coin flip. You could say either or, right? So it's still not objective, still a bit subjective. And then alongside that Deborah point and the weakened kids point, it was really kind of hard to bring that point home. It wasn't that objective. So I guess I am curious about what your stance is on Goma versus Kid Buu now. I think by the end of the series, he is stronger than Kid Buu, at least in the manga version, which we'll get into that as well. But I'd love to see how you kind of break down this.
Yeah, I like the muscly stuff was cool. It kind of added to the comedic. I think it was a funny thing to do because he was so small and and then it made him this muscular. I think it just made it more kid friendly because I think Daima was aimed at like a child audience. Because apparently lots of kids watched this, but yeah, it would have been sick to see him turn into like a Janemba type figure. But yeah, no, it was all right.
This side of the argument, the part 2 of the Daima debacle.
Yeah, so the strongest enemy statement is pretty much Goma's current strongest evidence, if I'm gonna be honest. But like you said, there's multiple interpretations to that statement and its meaning. My main sort of course of action is like when you have an interpretation, there are always low, mid, and high interpretations. So I always think that the highest interpretation requires a bit more evidence. and the lower ones don't.
Yeah, some Occam's
yeah.
razor and stuff.
Yeah, but sometimes I also think that if you pick a lower interpretation and you can back it up with scaling, that also just makes it more likely. For example, like if we were to say that Goma is the strongest enemy in Dragon Ball Daima, like Arinsu, Goma, Ku, and Du, he's the strongest amongst them.
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense with the scaling that happens in the actual episode, because that strongest enemy statement was for episode 17 Goma, or it came out during the time of episode 17, right? And in episode 17 or 18, right, the kids are all fighting him in a massive group, like sort of battle royale type of thing, but except for they're all just ganging up on Goma. And Shin is one of those people who are contributing to that fight. And when I say contributing, he's moving at the same speed, he's taking the same attacks, his ki blasts move at the exact same speed as there as well. And it's not like just individual attacks where he's punching them individually. Like, he's doing AoE attacks. King Goma is doing AoE attacks with the third eye, and it's hitting everybody, including Shin.
Right, like he's not just holding back specifically on Shin or something with his AoE, right? It's like
he's going for everybody. Yeah.
So when you put that into perspective, and you're like, wait a second, how strong is Shin again? And you're like, well, according to El Manga Legendario, adult Shin in the Buu Saga is equal to like Mastered Super Saiyan Goku from the Cell games, if you want to use that, right? And then you pair that with the fact that Dabura is meant to be stronger than everyone in the Demon Realm, and he's equal to Cell, Super Perfect Cell, right? And Super Perfect Cell is obviously stronger than Cell Games Goku, right? So, if these Cell Games Goku level threats are possibly contending or competing with Third Eye Goma for any period at all in that episode, right? It's a problem because Goku and Vegeta are shown to be roughly the same level. In fact, Goma hits Vegeta, Piccolo, and Shin with the exact same attack, and Vegeta's the last one to get up. He stays down longer than all of them, right? He tries to get up and falls down again, while Piccolo and Shin continue the fight. So...
yeah, and you could argue Piccolo and Shin...
Wow, this is really interesting when power scalers watch something like that, because it's like, oh, yeah, why? Why did that happen? Oh.
Are less restricted by their bodies. Like, Piccolo's kind of like a plant lizard man, and Shin is like grew on a tree, right? So like his biology might be less mammalian, if that makes sense. But they use like magic a little bit more as well, which may be less intrinsic to their bodies. So
I mean, if we consider how old Piccolo actually was at the age of like 3 or something, like what? He was as strong as Goku in the 23rd Budokai at the age of 3, so like,
Yeah, so his age might not affect him as much, realistically, because he was already, he was 3 years old when he fought Goku. Like, his age really doesn't change too much, unfortunately. Alright, so I guess from here, I'm kind of curious. There's like one other weird argument that people try to make for Goma being greater than Buu, and it was sort of like the King's statement about the Tamagamis, but it's sort of a misinterpretation, isn't it?
Yeah. At least in my opinion, to be a misinterpretation, because a lot of people like to cite the statement where King Kadan is like, well, damn, if they could defeat Majin Buu, they might be able to defeat the Tamagami, right? And people use that statement to scale the Tamagami above Majin Buu, but it's not meant to be interpreted that way, based off of the...
Yeah, I think they're just saying...
the previous context that was established, right? So one of the things that's established in Daima is that Gloria is a bit suspicious because he's not...
Yeah, they're not saying that, like... I never thought about that. So they're saying, if they were able to beat Majin Buu, then they could... Oh, actually, I don't know. So they beat Majin Buu, but then... No, but they obviously beat the Tamagamis as well, don't they, when they fight them? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so they're not saying the Tamagamis are stronger than Majin Buu, they're just saying that, like, if they are strong enough to beat Majin Buu, then, they've got a chance. And then they do beat them, so okay.
Telling all the information. So Kaioshin and Goku sort of fill in King Kadan of the information as to why they're here, what they're doing, and what their goals are, right? So they explain to them that they've been turned into children, that they've been wished younger, and their objective is to save Dende and essentially make a wish using the Demon Dragon Balls to become adults again. And that's why King Kadan is like, so you plan to fight the Tamagami, and such and such. Okay? So, if even like Degasu and Goma and everybody else who's just looking at them as children and like, oh, they're pretty weak, because that's like a common theme in Daima. Like size is strength in Daima. The bigger you are, the stronger you are.
Yeah.
That's the type of theme that there is. Um, so if they can tell that being children nerfs them, then so can King Kadan, and it just makes so much more sense. As he's like, oh, these guys could defeat Majin Buu as adults. Maybe as nerfed children, they could still be stronger than the Tamagami. And that's when he follows up with saying, but I still don't believe you're that strong. Let me.
Funny, so watch out, Goku! Nameless third-rate, nameless demon soldiers grabbed you. Go Super Saiyan quick! You wear Super Saiyan, no diff them. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Test you out against my father's soldiers, right? So it's like if you were to take that statement to mean he's stronger than Majin Buu, and he's only convinced that Goku is strong after defeating like his father men, it's like, well, is defeating his father men a feat that would be worthy of someone stronger than Majin Buu? Like, is that what you think? Like, I just think that type of thing is so weird. And it's just base Goku doing that as well. It's not like a transformed Goku.
Also, I want to say this as well. When the King watches base Vegeta and versus Goma,
just want to randomly thrown in, I love that all of a sudden we're having this weird resurgence of people wanting to cover Daima. So what was it? It was a video. I think it was a video from Six where he was giving his opinion on Daima, and I was like, "Oh, it's cool that people are doing that." And then Seth, I know it was like a couple of months ago he did the original one, but then he's recently done this. But now, Totally Not Mark is doing his review of Daima this weekend. I love it. It's cool. Let's all look back and discuss it. Let's talk about it. I think it was a fun thing, and I wish more people were onto it. So this is cool. This is cool to see.
I can't believe these guys had that much power. You know what I mean? Like, so, and there's like a weird narrative argument you might be able to make where it's implied Goku trained and then he kind of brought out Super Saiyan 4 in preparation for someone like Kid Buu. So you might be able to make like a weird connection that, you know, he's surprised that in their base states they could be that powerful, implying that like he actually had like a misinterpretation of how strong Majin Buu even is, if that makes sense. But that gets into the finale, which is just that now we know as well that the Super Saiyan 4 multiplier itself, or the new Super Saiyan 4, is quite odd. Now, as a child, you know, I made the deduction that I realistically didn't think that I think even arguing it was 5 times Super Saiyan 3 might be impossible. You know what I mean? I think it was actually kind of impossible. Like, you see Super Saiyan 3 Do and Goku together, comboing, you know, Goma, and then he goes Super Saiyan 4. He kind of beats him up a little bit, and then Goma quickly adapts and just knocks him out. There wasn't really an indication that this is like a 8 billion times multiplier, or 8 trillion times multiplier, like you could argue for some wank Super Saiyan 4 or God. It was impossible, right? It seemed like a very grounded Akira Toriyama style, super exciting guy style, like, where it's like Super Saiyan 3 is 4 times Super Saiyan 2. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Super Saiyan 4, you know, like 5 times Super Saiyan 3 or something in a guidebook, right? After watching that. But then as an adult, it looked a little bit different. Now, as an adult, when we see base Vegeta fight Goma, everyone is surprised. Piccolo's like, I've never seen power like this before. Or no, he didn't say that, but he said what power, right? And so implying like he could be comparing that Goku to Ultimate Gohan or Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. It's a bit subjective. He could also be saying he's basing, you know, the Super Saiyan 4 Goku's power off of just the multiplier. He's like, oh wow, if he could use this form like in his normal state, it'd be insane. But if you take it to mean, you know, he's saying like, oh, he's talking about what he's seen before in comparison. He could be talking about this Super Saiyan 4 Kid Goku. He's like up there with Super Buu, Ultimate Gohan. He might be above that. And then base Vegeta is above that. And then you could stack all the multipliers again. And then you might have a hard case for Kid Buu to fight King Goma with those multipliers. But the thing that the adult form has that's a bit different is that while it's true that the initial multiplier, because Goku does say he wants to end the fight quickly, implying so he's not actually holding back when he first appears versus Goma. He's not holding back. He has something else going on. Goma adapts to Super Saiyan 4 instantly. Like he gets punched a few. He instantly adapts to it, almost knocks Goku out. But versus Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, it took an entire episode for him to adapt to that form. implying that the initial Super
Struggled
Saiyan 4 might have
with
been less than a Super
Vegeta
Saiyan
more,
3 level
yeah.
multiplier. And then Goku adapts multiple times, or powers up multiple times, and so does Goma. Goma then adapts multiple times. He then grows into like a kaiju. And if you want to now there's no way to substantiate the multiplier for Goma, but if you want to take like a literal approach, like he grows from like the size of Broly to the size of Godzilla, so he grows tens of times more larger. So maybe you could say he grows tens of times more powerful or something like that. And it's kind of hard to argue like a manga Kid Buu could be up there. You could do some interpretations of anime Kid Buu getting him up there, but even then, that's a little bit dubious. You'd really have to kind of push the mind trap, and even pushing the mind trap, it might be hard to kind of outdo Kaiju, Goma, charitability scaling, or something like that. However, that's where we get into part 3 of why Daima is weak, and that is because Daima doesn't take place in the anime. It takes place in the manga continuity, and this has massive downscale.
Ooh, this is a really interesting discussion that I've not seen anyone talk about. Okay. All right, let's go.
For everything in the verse, so I guess we can just get into that. Unless you had something more to add to the Majin Buu versus Goma argument. Yeah, I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
I'd only just talk about maybe Super Saiyan 4 a little bit, which is like this is something weird that I spotted, but you know how we said that Kaiju's like he becomes a big Kaiju? When Super Saiyan 4 Goku is fighting him, the size difference doesn't actually look that big. So Super Saiyan 4 may have granted like the adult version like an extreme size boost or something like that, which you could argue is like more power, because like I said earlier, the theme is bigger you are, the stronger you are. So maybe it has a different effect on the adult body. So maybe the adult one is a higher multiplier than the kid one. I doubt
that's what I thought as well. Yeah, the adult version, maybe the adult version. I thought, the way I view it is that the adult version doesn't have a higher multiplier because Goma instantly adapts to Super Saiyan 4, which you couldn't do versus 3. So the multiplier is still probably relatively low, but I think that the adult version has some type of like adaptation hacks, like maybe the fully developed Super Saiyan 4 body has like some type of adaptation hacks that it's sort of similar to Super Saiyan 4 and GT, where he'd always get pummeled down and beat down, but it's always like he would get back up and power up or do whatever. Daima felt sort of similar to that. Now it's not objective, which is why I posited maybe he's holding back or pacing himself, but then Goku says I'm going to go all out, so it seems like the adult form might have some strange adaptation, but that's what I would say about it, personally speaking. But yeah, I'll let you continue.
That's fine. So I'd say for the whole Buu thing in the anime, it does become kind of tough if you were to try and use the Piccolo statement to get them to like Super Buu tier, because their base forms in the anime version, you can only argue them so high compared to the feat that Vegeta performed. So yeah, I do agree with that assessment.
So this is where we get into part 3.
Right. Daima Goku
part
is
3 here.
Fodder!
I guess further proof to add that Piccolo could just be talking about the form is that Goku implied he needed to find Super Saiyan 4 or another transformation to beat Kid Buu. But if you could just do it like in base form or Super Saiyan, it might be kind of weird. But anyway, part 3, the anime and the manga are disconnected for Daima. So Daima seems to only take place in the manga continuity.
Okay.
Now you brought this up when we first started this conversation, which was crazy, but I'm kind of curious like what that's all about. Like there was an interview or something like that where they just broke it down. They're like, yeah, this is just in the manga only, or
so an interview sort of came out talking about Dragon Ball Daima, what their plans were, like why they made it, when they planned to do it, all that type of stuff. And it seems that the Akira Kyoku has acknowledged that there's lots of debates over the canonicity of Daima. Now, he doesn't answer the question very well, if I'm going to be honest, because he doesn't say if Daima's canon or not. But he does say that it's a fact that it comes after the Majin Buu arc, which we could all deduce that. Yeah, but he also says it is just known that Daima takes place after the Majin Buu saga of the original manga. Right.
Which is crazy. That's a terrible statement for power scaling.
And in the same paragraph, he goes, "Yes, it's the continuation of the Majin Buu saga." So when you pair those two statements together in the same paragraph,
he's saying it's carrying on. Right. Okay.
He probably super 99% likely means that it's the continuation of the manga version, which is where we sort of getting this argument from.
Yeah, and then the manga version of Dragon Ball's Buu arc is way, way weaker than the anime's version. Because
Oh.
the manga version, it doesn't have base Goku pushing Pikkon, doesn't have
Oh,
Pikkon being
okay,
Ultra
yeah.
Perfect Cell. It doesn't have the Mind Trap filler where base Goku is fighting like some
Oh, right,
Gohan
yeah,
and
okay.
Gotenks and all of that. It doesn't have any of that at all. So it just has a very flat scaling chain. It's actually hard to argue that Goku even grows that much more powerful in the manga version. At best, maybe you could argue he becomes the strongest still. So he still surpasses, Gohan or whatever. There's statements that after the Buu arc, I think even in the Daizenshu, that he's the strongest. So him and Kid Buu in the final fight, Goku's the strongest. There's also like another like V-Jump guide or whatever that says like Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Gohan are probably relative because Buhan absorbs like a Super Saiyan 3 Gohan level of power. So even at the bare minimum, in the manga, you can still argue Goku gets stronger. But it's really, really hard to argue the same scaling line. Like it's really hard to argue Majin Buu is that far above Cell, where their base forms are just casually slapping him away back into his prison cell or something like that. That gets a lot more difficult in the manga version than the anime. Also, you brought this up as well. DBS episode 1. So if Daima took place in the anime continuity, it says Majin Buu is the most powerful enemy in history in DBS Episode 1, which would take place after Daima, more than likely. So Majin Buu in the anime, if they were connected, Kid Buu would just be stronger than King Goma still, if that was connected. So it makes a lot more sense for it to be the manga as well, especially with that statement. But I'm curious what else you have to add to that, because you like to scale the Buu arc as well.
Yeah, I would just say, like, to sort of differentiate the difference between the anime and manga, where it would be really easy to argue that, like, base form Goku and Vegeta in the anime would completely destroy, like, Deborah and Cell in base. Like, that's very, very easy to do. And obviously, Deborah is considered, like, a high tier of power. He's considered a standard of power for the Demon Realm.
Yeah.
So their anime adult forms would just easily scale above that. But yet, you'd have a sort of a difficult case for the manga to try and prove that their base forms are stronger than Deborah, even at the end of the Buu saga, right? So that's sort of like the power difference we're sort of looking at. And yeah, like you said, Goku and Gohan in the manga version more so there's more information to say that there's relative, and that becomes sort of like a problem because you just have like Kid Buu in the sort of version that Goku's focusing on. The guy that he made Super Saiyan 4 to deal with. Right, that version of Kid Buu wouldn't be like the top versions of Buu in the manga version. Like Buhan and Super Vegito, you could argue them in the manga to be much stronger than Kid Buu, like by a substantial amount.
Yeah.
Especially Super Vegito, right? There are like outright statements.
Buhan wouldn't even have his Vice Shout feat either. That whole universe.
Yeah, because that was ripping open the hole in the universe was anime only, wasn't it?
Crush thing, that's anime only. Like you can't even give that to the manga version at all.
Yeah.
Wow,
It doesn't
yeah.
even exist.
But you could even like argue that like Buhan in the manga version is literally just Super Buu add Gohan because of the whole he gains a Super Saiyan 3 level power sort of thing, right? Which makes it even worse.
Strongest Buu form going.
So it's just realistically compared to the top tier, which would be Super Vegito in the Buu saga. In the manga continuity, it's so hard to argue that Goku's anywhere near Super Vegito's level of strength if you consider the difference between them.
Yeah, especially because Super Vegito's multiplier in the manga should still be the same as like the animes, really. Obviously, they're different power scaling. Unless you think that guidebook was talking about manga Vegito, which is not impossible, but it seems to be talking about the anime. But yeah, the multiplier for Vegeta should still be Goku X Vegeta in the manga. His multiplier is crazy in base form. He would absolutely annihilate Super Saiyan 3 Buu Saga and the Buu Saga Goku or whatever you think the statement is talking about. It could be talking about start of Buu Saga, but you know what I mean. Now this is where we get into part 4 here.
Oh.
In part 4, this is where people really try to they're like, well, Seth,
So people upscaling the Demon Realm. Okay, let's go.
why do you ignore Super Saiyan 4 Goku's feats? He shook the Demon Realm, and
Because there's forms that have shook the universe.
I think he might be up there with Super Saiyan God. I think he might be up there with Super
No.
Saiyan. Like, I'm thinking about all the tiers of power.
And that was like
I'm gonna be honest.
Super Saiyan God, not even Super Saiyan Blue.
Even if the anime applied to this, Battle of Gods Vegito should just be absolutely annihilating these characters, realistically. Even if you said base Vegeta was like Super Buu tier or Ultimate Gohan tier or stronger than Ultimate Gohan, and then you gave him Super Saiyan 3 and then a Super Saiyan 4 multiplier, Vegito would still be stronger in Battle of Gods. Like that whole, like, let's say Super Saiyan 4 has like a 20,000 times multiplier, that Vegito would be astronomically higher than that still, unfortunately. Especially Super Saiyan 3 Vegito. Even if you argued Vegito and base is just Super Saiyan 3 tier, let's say he's just like 400 times, and then multiply by 50, 100, and then 400 times on top of that, he starts to get really ridiculous. And then in Battle of Gods, they'd be stronger than that. It's really hard to argue adult Super Saiyan 4 is stronger than Battle of Gods Vegito.
Yep.
Is what I'm trying to say. And then if the anime is connected, or if the manga, even if the manga is connected, Super Saiyan 4 Battle of Gods Vegito might be possible. And, then Super Saiyan God, he's just considered an entire dimensional plane different. Goku can't even fathom a lifetime of that type of power that Super Saiyan God had. And when he was in that form, he's stumbling over himself, he's tripping. And now people bring up, why'd you ignore him shaking the 3 worlds of the Demon Realm? Bro, Battle of Gods Goku almost annihilated the entire macrocosm sphere by punching on accident.
Just fists.
People don't realize that. Like, he was going to annihilate it from existence, which probably included the Demon Realm and included all of the afterlife, which might be thousands of universes large. A universal-sized heaven vanishes in its atmosphere, and it's still within the universe. There's the Kaioshin realm, and the macrocosm outside of that is going to get annihilated, which is like 1/10 of the macrocosm or something like that. Don't remember the exact statement. But Super Saiyan God was going to annihilate literally existence by punching vaguely Beerus's hand on accident. He didn't even want to do it. He's arguably trying to hold back the shockwave. He just didn't know. He just didn't.
It just clinked.
So comparing Super Saiyan 4 Goku, shaking a little bit of the Demon Realm, shaking the Demon Realm planets, incomparable, bro. It's incomparable. Like when I read some of these comments, I'm like, we didn't even watch the same show. It's insane. Like, this is not what Buhan did is crazier. What Buhan did is crazier than what Super Saiyan 4 Goku is doing. It's a completely night and day. Now, I don't know what you think about Battle of Gods or, Super Saiyan God or even Super Saiyan 4 and GT versus that, but that's sort of like my take on it.
I would sort of agree that the feat isn't much. I would say that the strongest argument for Daima being like super strong feat-wise is actually more to do with the lore of like Majin Raimus, right? Because there used to be like a good demon king with the third eye who like essentially had command over these super Majins. Now, according to the lore of the third eye, it gives you like ultimate power and command over everyone in the demon, or some weird thing like that. Ideally, you basically become the strongest in the demon realm, right? If you think that like the eye is what granted the good demon king of the past the power to command the Majin Raijin type of guys, or the super Majins, and they created the 12 universes, so then you can sort of have like a bit of an argument, but realistically, that argument sort of falls apart because we don't actually know what the amp for the eye is or how strong like the base Demon King was, right? If you sort of treat like the eye as like
or even like this, if it's implied the eyeball amps you more over time.
Yeah.
So who knows how long he had the eyeball, if the amp wore off, or if it just stays. Like, we have no idea if Goma would just become a Titan, or if he would just like keep retaining his power. Like, if he beat Goku and Vegeta in that fight, would he no longer be that strong? Like the next day, like would he just power back down to getting beat up by base Vegeta if he rolled up again? Like, I don't think so. You know what I mean? So maybe you could argue he just like manifested a lot of power over time, or maybe the Raimus guys, they're more willing to listen to him because he had abilities or a pure heart or whatever. We have no idea.
Oh, because he was good.
I'll let you continue.
My point was just like the base Demon King could have been like really, really strong, and the eye just did what he needed.
Yes, I agree with that too.
But like you said,
and then the legend was made from that.
100%. And then again, you can use the argument, like you said, that the eye grants more power over time. Something that we should sort of acknowledge is that Goma clearly has no idea how the eye works. He didn't know how to even put it on in the first place. You know, you don't know how to put it on or take it off.
He did seem like an idiot, but he must have some capability to be in the status that he is within the demon realm. So I don't know.
They just know it grants you a lot of power, and that's even with Arisu as well. You remember she had to flip through the book to learn how to even take it off. So
Yeah, and
True,
she should be
yeah.
more educated.
yeah. So when it comes to acknowledging the power of the eye, even like Dabura's dad would have
Yeah, he
more
doesn't know how
knowledge
to use
around
it,
that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
and that knowledge seems to be passed down from Demon
Just
King to
winging
Demon
it.
King. So it would make sense that the first Demon King would have the most amount of knowledge about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been so funny if Neva monologued. He's like, "Thank God this guy doesn't know how to use that thing."
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, like.
You
so-
see, I was hoping with Daima that the way it was gonna work was that when the super manga comes back, there would be some kind of flashback to the demon realm as a way to help them fight against Frieza or something. But it just can't happen, can it? It's its own continuity. It's got nothing to do with Super. But it was still enjoyable. It was fun. But now we got people talking about it. I love it.
like that.
Yeah.
But yeah. In terms of GT take.
I was gonna say, you remember? I forgot to mention this earlier, but you remember that time when Neva's dragon just flicked Goma and
Yeah.
and possibly argued under the whole divorce is the strongest thing. But anyway, we moved on to that point.
Yeah. Neva scaling is a whole different can of worms.
my
That guy's a
God.
weirdo. I don't know what's up with him, but
He's so OP.
yeah. I guess in terms of GT as well,
He's like the
GT takes
ultimate
place-
healer. He's the ultimate background character. He doesn't seem capable of fighting by himself, but he can power up things to the max. It's unreal. He made those Tamagami.
like 10 through 15 years, depending on what time point you use, end of Z through GT. Training intensely the entire time. His Super Saiyan 4 has a higher multiplier, gets way stronger throughout the arc. He realistically, Daima, I don't know, Daima just shouldn't be up there really at all. And then the feat of Super Saiyan God is just unsurpassable by most Dragon Ball things. I honestly don't think that feat will be surpassed by Dragon Ball for a long time. Only Zeno.
Excuse me.
Or more of these gods of destruction that are just free to destroy a universe or something will really be doing that in a long time. Accidentally almost punching away the universe is kind of insane, even on paper. And it's I don't really see that happening for a long time. And Daima was just not anywhere close to that. But
No.
that being said, that's really all there is to say for the most part. Every argument for Daima is kind of cope a lot of the time, and like I said, it's almost like they've only seen Dragon Ball Daima. I'm like, these feats do not compare. Goku was shaking Infinity, the World of Void. He's moving through time skip. His multiplier is making Beerus poop himself, who's quadrillions of times stronger than what it takes to punch away reality on accident. You know what I mean? Daima does not compare to anything in Super like that. It has the manga scaling from the Buu arc, which is incredibly weaker than the anime version. And Super Saiyan 4 has a bad multiplier, and you got to cope. Sorry, but it looked cool though. I mean,
I mean,
It
just remember
was
in the
fun
anime,
to
do you remember
see.
the
It was
anime
fun
when
to
Goku was on
watch.
God? He couldn't even control his body correctly, and with Super Saiyan 4, he just immediately
couldn't even move correctly.
immediately could use it. That's
Yeah.
another indication where God's probably a lot stronger than the Super Saiyan 4 multiplier.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Other thing of Daima's canon as well. Remember when Goku? I don't remember if it was the original Battle of Gods or Supers, but he was considered one of the strongest in history before he went Super Saiyan God. Just as a Super Saiyan failed ritual or whatever. They're I can't even believe he's this powerful. It's unreal.
I mean,
And then he got Super Saiyan God on top of that, and they're wow, okay.
If you consider Battle of Gods and what Toriyama thinks, Toriyama thinks they barely got any stronger from the Buu saga because they reached their peak already. If you remember those movie interviews where all the writers and producers were yeah, they've already reached their peak in the Buu saga and there's nothing higher. That's why we needed a God.
Yeah.
So I think it gets
Yeah.
worse when you try and fit them into the Super continuity or the anime version.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%, and then I don't know, it just all adds up. Goku thinking he should find another form to beat Buu. It's but you're telling me he could surpass Buu in 6 months of training, in base form? I don't know, man. But that being said, guys, hope you enjoyed. Maybe we'll talk about more Daima stuff in the future. Daima's done, so I don't know how much the arguments are going to evolve or.
Hey, like I said, more people are talking about it now. You've recently done this. Mark is going to do his review on the weekend. I think more people are going to start talking about it because there's only so much about Dragon Ball they're talking about. The dub has just finished, I do believe, so that may be another reason why people are talking about it and reviewing it, etc. So keep the discussion going, guys.
Whatever, but that's really all there is to say. Super Saiyan God folds that form like crazy. Please stop bringing that up. It's hella.
It does.
It's
It
hella
really
cringe.
does.
It's
Like,
one of the most
yeah.
cringe things I've read. So stop saying that at least. Like, if you want to say he beats up Majin Buu, I kind of agree. All right, it's whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
But like Super Vegito from Battle of God, Super Saiyan God, GT Super Saiyan 4, you're coping, bro. You're just coping. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. And peace out.
It's always fun. Like I said, it's fun to watch people do a review and discussion of a show, and then it's really fun to watch the power scalers go into it and go, "Wait a minute, what the hell is this form? It ain't what you're saying." I love it. It's so cool. I love to see the both discussions of it. It's fun to see the power scaling thing, and then I'm looking forward to Mark's review over the weekend. I don't know if he's going to review the whole thing. I mean, how many episodes was it? So maybe, no, it'll be in parts, which is cool. We'll check them out as they're happening. I've still got one more thing of Egghead review to check out as well from Mark. But yeah, Seth, do a little bit more. Do a little bit more. I'm sure there's a little bit more you could do. Like, maybe look into Vegeta's Super Saiyan 3 form. That'd be fun to check out. How strong was it? How strong with the Super Saiyan 3 form? That'd be cool, because then you've got the adult form and the kid form as well. And like you were saying, it seemed to perform better than Goku in Super Saiyan 4. So, yeah, but anyway, that was awesome. And thank you very much for watching.